Hello, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Sorry that I'm not there. So today we're going to talk about some kind of extra stuff in this unit that we haven't really talked about directly. And so we're going to talk about it today. And hopefully this will help and you guys can work on your practice test and get ready for your actual test next week, which is on Wednesday or Thursday. Okay, so here we go. We're going to kind of start. So the first thing that we want to talk about is that order matters. Okay, when we're naming triangles, the order of the letters matters. So we can say that triangle PRQ is congruent to triangle XZY. We can say that, but we can't say that triangle PRQ, it's not congruent to triangle YXZ. Okay? You have to match up the corresponding parts. Okay? So if P comes first, which is like this angle with the little one little swoosh on it, then X needs to come first. Okay, my kind of tip is just to start with the one that has only one little swoosh on it and go in order. Okay, so start from the corner with one, okay, and then go around. That's my tip. That's what I would do. Okay, so now for this part, I want you to name the triangle that is congruent to CAB. So if we're starting with the corner from 1, we're going to start with Z, okay, and then which way are we going to go next, okay, because we're going from C to A. So we're starting with Z, and that means we're going to X, okay, because we have to go kind of in the same order. So we're going to go Z, X, Y. So order is really important in this unit, and when you write the letters, you have to be careful and make sure that you go in the same kind of order for both parts, for both triangles. Okay, so ZXY is congruent to CAB, and now one that's not congruent, one that's not the same, I'm going to say, there's lots of different answers here. I'm going to say XYZ. Okay, so there's some questions on the practice test where the order is really important, so you have to pay attention to these things. Okay, so if you're doing the practice test, draw it out on paper, write an expo marker, and draw kind of little arrows like I did. Okay, so that's the first part of this lesson. The next part is just a quick review of some vocabulary. So depending on when you had me this week, Wednesday or Thursday, we talked about what a perpendicular bisector is. Okay, so bisectors cut things in half. Okay, so this, if DF is a perpendicular bisector of line GE, that means it's cutting this and this in half. Okay, perpendicular means to make right angles, or it's something that makes right angles. Okay, so we have here that this and this is a perpendicular bisector, so I drew my little tick marks. Now we have to figure out, how do we know that the two halves of this triangle are congruent? So here we got this angle by G, then we have the line that we just drew in, and then this is also a right angle, so we have angle, side angle, And same with on the other side. So we can use angle, side, angle to show that the two are congruent. We could also have done, because we know that this line, since they share it, is the same, we could have done side, angle, side as well. So either one of those is the right answer. Okay, now let's write a congruence statement. Let's write how we know that they're or how the triangles are congruent. I'm going to say triangle, let's say DFG is congruent. So we started from D, we went to F, we went to G. So for the second one, we got to start kind of in the same spot. So we're going from D back down to F, but this time instead of going over to G, we're going over, whoops, that should be an F. F-E. Okay, so that was a quick kind of review of perpendicular bisectors. Now, angle bisectors are kind of the same thing, but now instead of cutting a side in half, we're cutting an angle in half. So an angle bisector cuts an angle in half. Okay, so let's kind of look at this then. Okay, so AC bisects DAB. Okay, so DAB is this angle right here. This angle right there. And it bisects BCD, so it bisects this kind of like lower angle. Okay, so let's draw in some marks. So that means this angle is the same as this angle, and this angle is the same as this angle. Okay, so now we have two angles. We know about two angles. What else do we know? Like, what else do we know is congruent just from like the picture, like the information we have? I hope you were thinking to yourself, oh, they both share AC, so AC is also congruent. Okay, so this line is also congruent because it's part of both triangles. It's part of ABC and ADB. Okay, so since we have an angle and then a side and then an angle, this is again angle, side, angle, and we know that they are congruent. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and try to write the congruence statement there. Okay, I would make sure that both of them start from A. That's my tip to you. But you go ahead and do that. I'm going to skip it in the video. You got it. Okay, so let's talk about parallelograms. We're going to kind of include parallelograms in this unit because it's technically just two triangles put together. Okay, but let's talk about some properties of parallelograms because that's important for us to know. Let's pick a new color. Okay, purple's fun. Okay, cool. So, some properties of parallelograms. So, think to yourself, what are some things that you know about parallelograms? Okay, so first off, we're going to kind of write in that parallelograms are basically just a tilted rectangle. Okay? So that means that like this side and this side are congruent. Okay? But that also means the same thing for the top and the bottom. Okay? Those are also congruent. So DA and CB are all congruent. So like the sides kind of across from each other are congruent, which is like the same as a rectangle. Okay? The other part of it is that the opposite angles are congruent. Okay? So opposite angles are equal. So A would be the same measurement as C. Angle A and angle C should be the same. And then, so here they'd probably be like, I don't know, like 60 degrees, something like that. And then D and B, which are these like larger obtuse angles out here, are also the same. So the opposite angles are equal. And maybe you can kind of tell that just by looking at the parallelogram. The last thing that I want to write in here, that's another property of parallelogram, is that all four angles together needs to equal 360 degrees. Okay? So if you add, come on. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Please work, pen. Okay. Oops. Let's make this look better. Sorry. Okay. All angles to 360 degrees. Okay. And that's true for all quadrilaterals, like rectangles, squares, trapezoids, every kind of quadrilateral or a shape with four sides. The angles need to add up to 360. Okay? Okay, so now, like a few more properties, okay? A few more properties is that if you draw a line from A to C and B to D, okay, the place where they meet, this like center point E, cuts both of those lines in half. Okay, so like here, this E is a bisector. Okay, it's a bisector of AC and BD. Okay, it's also, these like lines also help cut up the angle, okay, but not in half. It doesn't bisect the angle, but this angle is congruent to this angle. Okay, so we're gonna we're gonna use some kind of like symbols and stuff to label that. So BAE, okay, so I'm gonna start out here. BAE is congruent to DCE. Okay, so that part's congruent, but then also this part is congruent. Okay, so like this kind of like opposite interior angle are congruent. Okay, or alternate interior angles is another way to say that. So we have DAE, and that's congruent to BCE. Okay, and then this also applies to the other parts. Like this angle is the same as this angle. And this angle, oh gosh, 4 little guys, is the same as this angle. Okay, so all of the angles kind of inside the quadrilateral have like a matching one. Okay. Okay. So now let's kind of look at this problem here, and we're going to kind of apply some of that information above. Okay, let's pick another color. Okay, cool. So we're going to draw our little lines again. So like this angle is the same as this angle. And then this angle is the same as that angle. Okay? So we got that. And then we also have that this middle line is shared. Okay? So these two triangles are congruent. Okay? And that means each part has a matching part. So HG down here has a matching part. Oops. And it should be the same one that's up here. Okay? So HG is going to match up with FE. Okay? Because we want to start from the part that has the one angle and go to G. So then here we do FE. Okay? HEF, which angle does HEF match up with? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to highlight HEF. So HEF. Okay, so we started at the 2 angle, we went up to E, and then we went to F. So for this one, we're going to start at the 2, go to G, and go to F. So this is going to be, oops, not highlighter, sorry. This is going to be angle F, G, H. Oh, I just realized, oh well, never mind. We're going to skip this last part because it ends up being the same as HEF, but whatever. Okay, so the last thing I want you to remember, okay, is each part has a matching part when we have congruent triangles, but there's like a math way to say that. So like when we, another way of saying like each part has a matching part is corresponding parts of congruent shapes are congruent. Okay, that is like the math way of saying this. Okay, that each part has a matching part. This is like the mathy way to say it. Okay, corresponding parts is like matching parts. Okay, and congruent just means the same. So this is like the math way to say that. So when you read like the practice test, it's going to say like corresponding parts of congruent shapes or congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, that just means that each part has a matching part when we have congruent triangles. Okay, I think that's everything I need to say. Please don't forget to do the exit ticket. Okay, so do the exit ticket. Okay. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. Don't forget to work on the practice test if you have time. We will have all of class on Tuesday to work on the practice test and talk about it. But yeah, see you guys on Tuesday. Bye.